Plus
Guys,
Life.
thank you guys so much for joining me on the Sports Plus Life Baby Podcast number 8, where right now, just got over probably about a little over an hour ago, the Last Dance, episode 9 and 10, the series finale of the Last Dance, 1998 championship of the Chicago Bulls. The second three-peat, which completed the second three-peat. I don't think no other team has ever done that, not that I know of. I think maybe the old Boston Celtics, but that doesn't count. No one was even playing then. This was a good one, man. It was a good one because, I mean, it capped off an already, which I already deemed multi-award winning documentary. It's gonna be, you're definitely gonna win all these awards when there are awards that come out. Hopefully, at some point, maybe next year, this year, whenever we're able to reconvene. It was good. I mean, this one focused around the series against 1996 series, 98 series of the Indiana Pacers Eastern Conference Championship between the Bulls and the Pacers. And I remember those teams. I remember that Pacers team: Reggie Miller, Chris Mullin, who was it? Smits. Oh shit! I just forgot. I just saw it earlier. Rick Smits. Yeah, I think is what it was. Rick Smits. Yeah, I think so. They had a good squad. Reggie Miller and then Jalen Rose as well. Mark Jackson, of course, who used to drop dimes. I used to remember how physical that series was. I just remember thinking, I was like, how are they getting away? How are either team getting away with this type of physicality? I thought that was a foul. It wasn't a foul back then. Fouls were kind of more special reserved for special occasions back then in the 90s. Not like they are now. They get called every 2 seconds. Like I said, I've said it before in last, probably not this podcast, but the baby podcast was the one before. It's just different. And I remember Reggie Miller's gameplay. He's very physical, running off of screens, bumping, pushing. I remember that shot he was talking about in there where he had the game winner. I think it was to tie the series at 2-2. And I remember that one. I'm like, dude, there's no way you don't call that a foul. And the crazy thing about it is you look at, you take a look. No one was screaming for a foul. No one on the other team, no one on the Bulls team was had their hands up. They just weren't screaming. It's the way it was. It was the way they just accepted it. Michael Jordan got beat on that play, is how he accepted it, and he didn't like that. It was a good shot. Damn near what wasn't the game winner, as you saw later. John Rodman. Michael Jordan hit a shot and just bounced in and out. That could have been the game winner. But I remember those series. Those series were crazy. I mean, it was crazy physical. I thought it was really funny that Reggie Miller got smoked once by Michael Jordan, and ever since then we called him Black Jesus or the Black Cat. And he called him something else. Can't remember what it was. That's just pretty funny. I don't think I ever noticed that. Now looking back, because they showed the interviews after the fact, and I remember that the press conference. The press conference after the fact, I remember is like calling him Black Cat. I was like, what the hell? I remember why is he calling him the Black Cat? Well, that's why. Now we all know why. And it was crazy because, barring from that, one thing I took, and you could take from any of these series or any of these episodes, Michael Jordan had a good way of motivating himself, finding something so little and just blowing it up. For example, on here, they talked about the Utah Jazz. They played the Utah Jazz the year before, and he remembers when he wasn't. There's two factors going in there. One, it was when they played him the year before. I remember it was the 98 or 97. They're like, what was your motivation going into the series? And it was, well, they gave Karl Malone the MVP instead of me. and there's nothing against Carmelo. Nothing Carmelo did. Carmelo did everything great. But Michael Jordan, being who he is, was like, that should have gone to me. And that triggered him. And, that was just a motivator for him. He was so good at motivating himself. That's just the difference between a lot of people is motivation. And he was good at finding those motivations. Other one where he's talking about Byron Russell, can't remember his name. Russell, we all know, we know who he is now. He's told that story in there where he was playing baseball and Utah was visiting or whatever, and he Chicago, and I think Jordan went to go say hi to everyone, and Russell was like, rookie young guy at the time, he said, "Man, why'd you retire, man? I feel like I could have locked you down, I could have beat you," and just something like that, just flipped the switch, and he never forgot that. He locked it in the back. He went into the memory bank. When it came time, he remembered that. Michael Jordan had a hit list. He had like an Arya Stark hit list. And you were going to die if he got a hold of you. That just was what it was. If he found you, you were on that list. You were getting checked off that list. It was Arya Stark, Chris Jericho, all rolled up into one. They all had the list. And you were going to get checked off those lists. You were going to die. That's how Michael Jordan looked at it. It was pretty crazy. But they also talked about huge in that was it the first one? Yeah, I think it was the first one. Now I can't. They all blend together. I just watched them both back to back and I totally forgot. I think it was in the first one where they talked about the flu game. The infamous flu game where, they have the flu game shoes now. The flu game, the picture of Scottie Pippen carrying Michael off the court. And it was crazy. I had the, what was his name? I can't remember. Now I got to look this up. Everyone. Utah. Why am I drawing a blank? They had it on there. Let me see here. It was Jerry Sloan. Why did I forget that? Jerry Sloan. Damn, he coached for 23 years in Utah. I did not know that. That is crazy. Wow. Is he still alive, by the way? Okay, anyways, I think he is. I could have sworn. Anyways, but yeah, Jerry Sloan. And Jerry Sloan, I never forget that because I remember, like, why is Michael Jordan being carried off? And, Jerry Sloan at the end was like, I didn't know he was sick. Like, he just looked fine to me. It's just ridiculous. He went 44 minutes out of the 48 minutes, I think is what it was. 12 minutes a quarter, 44 minutes out of the 48 minutes he played with food poisoning. So if you guys didn't listen to that story goes, well, the night before, Michael was hungry. It was like 10:30 at night. Called around, tried to find an open spot. Pizza spot was open. Got delivered by like 5 guys, which everyone else thought he was weird. Michael Jordan didn't receive the pizza. He ate the pizza all by himself and ate it all. So I think it's a matter of just eating a gluttony of pizza, which we've all been there. But none of us had to play in the NBA Finals the next day. But it was crazy, man. Food poisoning. If you ever had food poisoning, you're just incapacitated. You don't go to work the next day. You're shitting your brains out. You are in big trouble. Michael Jordan went out there and played the game. He played an NBA Finals game. I don't know anybody in this era would have done that, aside from maybe LeBron James. But I don't think anyone would have done that and been effective like Michael Jordan was effective, scoring 38 points in 44 minutes. It was just nuts, man. It's weird. It's crazy to think. I mean, the guy just had it in him. A lot of people, there's very, very few in this world that have that type of mentality, have that type of, had the resolve to go in a game and still, with food poisoning, as weak as you are, and still be the best player on that court. It's ridiculous. I don't think you've ever seen anything like that since. Um, it just goes to show who Michael Jordan was, man. It was just crazy. But that was nuts, man. 38 points, 44 minutes out of the 48 minutes on the court. Um, just think about that. Just think about that. Do you think anyone in this league now could do that? The way people do their load management, the work ethic. I think it'd be easier to be doing now, given the way the game is being refereed, the less physicalness of the game. Yeah, just don't think so. I still don't think so. Anyone could have that type of, sickness and be as effective as he was. But that's what you got, man. That's just what you got. And that pretty much just sums it up. They ended up, what was really crazy about that, I was gonna say that was ended up, but after, I think it was after that game 3. That's the game 3, right? No, game 5. Was it game 5, the flu game? But before that, after game 3, I can't remember which one it was. 97. No, so the flu game was 97, and then the game 5 was 97, and then 98. After game 3 was when Dennis Rodman skipped practice to go join the NWO, hit Damon Dallas Page with a couple chair shots, go back the next day. Flight, they chartered the flight right back, and then no one bats an eye, and that was really crazy. That was really crazy. I remember that. I remember all that sequence. Once it showed up, I was like, "Oh shit, I forgot about that." As all of you guys know, I'm a WWE fan, wrestling fan, WCW fan. I watched all that. The Monday Night Wars back in the day. I watched all that. And, yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then to think that this man skipped practice, got back, and was able to give Karl Malone, one of the top 50 players in the world, in the league ever, fits. Gave him fits. Gave him issues. Played him. Was physical with him. It's just different, man. It is just different. And, it kind of brings me to kind of summarize The Last Dance, with Chicago Bulls in general. 2 different three-peats. There was, so many different characters involved with every single season. Let's take a look at that last one. Steve Kerr, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Judd Bushler, who else? Bill Wennington, Luke Longley, Tony Kukoc. Was PJ Brown part of that? Can't remember. But just think about that. Just all those different personalities. All those different personalities. Different personalities, different attitudes. Just different. Everything's just so different. But the one thing that was consistent was obviously Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson, and they all had one goal, and that was to win a championship. They were all on the same page as far as that went. They all had an understanding of what the goal was, what it needed to take, and that's pretty much, it's all you need. It doesn't matter. They understood Dennis Rodman was Dennis Rodman. They understood he didn't have to go to every practice. They needed to give him breaks. He was just a different person. That was an understanding between Phil Jackson, Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, the team in general. They understood that, this was the last dance. They need to give it their all. But everyone had to play their part. Steve Kerr had to hit some shots. Scottie Pippen had to show up sometimes. When Michael Jordan was there, Scottie Pippen had to show up. Dennis Rodman always had to show up. I don't think they win that championship without Dennis Rodman. I think they could win the championship without Steve Kerr, maybe even Scottie Pippen. But they don't. It definitely showed that they needed Dennis Rodman, especially in a lot of those physical games. Against the Pacers, against the Knicks and the Jazz and all those guys. They definitely needed someone like the Worm. But they all did it together. That's the one thing that people forget. All these were team efforts. You don't have to love who you're working with, but you can still accomplish a lot when the goal is the same. If you have the same goals, it doesn't. There's a lot, stuff like this really doesn't work. In marriages, even you guys might have the same goals, but if you guys don't like each other, that shit's not gonna work out. You know what I'm saying? But in sports, in the work life, in sports teams, it just doesn't matter. As long as the goals are the same, you guys are gonna be Gucci. They were Gucci. They were different from any other team you've ever seen out there. Different, like I said, different hair colors, different skin colors, different personalities. But the goal remained the same, and the effort made the same. So that's what I got from that team. But obviously, like I said, the constants were Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson, when Michael Jordan part of it, so was Scottie Pippen. Phil Jackson went on to win another three-peat with the Lakers after the fact. Shows his greatness, his small knowledge, his smart, how smart he was when it came to the game, and why what's Jerry Krause just made the mistake of putting his foot in his mouth before the season started for whatever reason. He was in that three-peat. They're like, oh, I don't want to worry about next year, but before the year started, he was like, well. We'll worry about this after the year, but oh yeah, by the way, before the season starts, you're not coming back next year, Phil Jackson. You go win 82 games, you're still not coming back. He said that. And that was just stupid. There's lessons you need to take from all this. I'll be on the same page. Don't. What was I gonna say? The lesson is just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's what he tried to do. Why? Then after the fact, kind of renege and be like, well, let's try for a seventh, type of thing. No, it just doesn't work that way, But of course, it was, the main constant was Michael Jordan, and there's the one thing he did say. Was that one that we're all talking about. And there was that quote. And this is what he said here. People are going to look at this and say he may be a tyrant. Well, that's you. Because you've never won anything before. I wanted to win, and I wanted them to be a part of it as well. I don't have to do this. I'm only doing this because it is who I am. That's how I play the game. That's my mentality. If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way. And he got emotional, cried a little bit, called for break. But that showed why he has 6 rings, why he's a Hall of Famer, why, all these All-Stars, why all the All-Star games, why all these MVPs, defensive MVPs, Olympic gold medalists. It just shows, why he's the best player to ever play this game. The ultimate competitor, one of the winningest people, biggest work ethic, like none other. It's just nobody like Michael Jordan. And I'm glad this came out, and I've said this before, I said this again, I'm glad this came out so everyone, especially this generation, can see the type of player, what it took to win those championships. I don't know if you'll see a three-peat again. I just don't think you will. You just won't see, let alone 2 three-peats. I mean, the closest you got was Miami winning back-to-back, I think. I can't remember. I don't even know if they won back-to-back. Now we're going to have to check. We were talking about this, so. Let's take a look here. Oh, Golden State won it back-to-back. Sorry, Golden State won it back-to-back. Miami didn't win it back-to-back, did they? Oh, there they were. Yeah, they did win it back-to-back, but it was Golden State as recent as 2017, 2018. And who else was a part of that? Steve Kerr. They won 3 out of, 18, 17, and 15. They won 3 out of the 4 right there. Steve Kerr was a part of that. So he's done it before. And he was a part of it as a coach, as a player. think he's won. Let's see here. Steve Kerr. This one we don't have to worry about Steve Kerr right now, but he wins, so he knows what it takes. And you could test a lot of that too, being rubbing off of Michael Jordan. You could tell he talks about Michael Jordan a lot. He's like, Michael Jordan did this, Michael Jordan did that. This way. You don't see this league because that it is now without Michael Jordan. You don't see Kobe Bryant. I don't think you see LeBron James either. Michael Jordan simply put is the greatest basketball player ever. And this will show this, and they knew this was going to show without a shadow of a doubt. He was the best player ever. Still to this day. I posted something on my Facebook the other day, and it was, I can't remember his name, something Torre. From ESPN, Outside the Line, OTL, whatever you want to call it. And he said, at the end of his little segment, is this authoritarian, like this dictatorship player being a mean player worth it in the end? And then he said, if you still want to be like Mike, I think you should aspire to be more. I want to be like Mike. I want to be known as the best player ever. I want to, when it's all said and done, after my playing days, still make a shitload of money, become a billionaire, and still be relevant. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to be a billionaire? Set their families, and families, their kids, and their kids' family. Everyone set up for life. Have people revere you, buy your shoes all the time, because of the player you were. Not because of the man, because of the player you were. At the end of the day, what he said in these episodes, like in the last episode, may have been 7 and 8, can't remember, but they go maybe 5 and 6. Where the worst thing you're going to say about Michael Jordan is that he had a gambling problem. Which I don't think he did. He just liked to bet on himself, like he said. But this just kind of opened up a different side, a human side of Michael Jordan. In this last episode, I'm trying to paraphrase here, I'm trying to remember, but Barack Obama said, not a lot of players, sports athletes, have reached beyond their sport. Wayne Gretzky, Wayne Gretzky having a big reach outside of hockey. Who else? Tiger Woods having a big old reach outside of, golf. But Michael Jordan had a reach on everybody. The NBA is the way it is because of Michael Jordan. The greatest player of all time. The term GOAT came from Michael Jordan. Everyone want to be like Mike? Well, everyone wants to be a GOAT. That's how you got to be like Mike. So, as this ends, there's something I'll definitely watch again. I'll watch it over and over again. You just got to take a couple things from this. Times are different. Times are different. The way we play the sports are different. There's a lot of constants here still that you can learn from Michael Jordan. If you want to win, develop that winning work ethic. You got to put the grind in. You got to work hard at what you like to do. Work hard at what you're good to do. Never, take anything for granted. Don't admire your work, but never take anything for granted, and always learn. Always learn. So, but the main thing is just fucking work to win. Get yourself out of this, this losing mentality we all have. Just have a winning mentality. Be competitive as fuck. That's all I took from it. And I've never been more motivated in my life. Sports Plus Live Baby Podcast number 8. A whole lot more to come. And more or less, Sports Plus Live Podcast number 50 is only 4 away. 47, 48, 49, 50. And I'm gonna do 50 more. And I'm already thinking of one, I'm thinking of 100, then I'm thinking of 150, 200, I'm thinking of 500. This fucking thing has motivated me. This damn show has motivated me to become the best at what this is. So that's what I'm gonna take from it. I'm just gonna develop a winning fucking attitude. And if you don't like it, then don't play that way. That's all I gotta say. Episodes 9 and 10, 1 through 10, one of the best with a winning, future award-winning documentary. The Last Dance was amazing, a flash from the past, and a great example of what a winner looks like. And I'm following that example, and I want to be like Mike. Late.